seconds.
I can't wait to hear it either. I started the recording, so as you're doing your thing, Cage, I'll kick us off. So I did. I can't stall forever. The people need a show, and we're here to bring in the best sports card show in the nation. And we're really, really fortunate to have such a loyal and passionate fan base. Thank you guys for subscribing to our YouTube channel. Thank you guys for supporting us. Cage, if you don't mind, I'm going to put you on mute because we're still getting messages from our community that the audio quality is the best in class. But without further ado, I want to welcome you guys back to another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze Oh My. This is a big show. There's a lot to discuss, and I think it's going to be a great show. I think you guys are going to love it. We've had some great feedback just this week from our episodes. We had P. Ryan on yesterday. It was amazing. People loved it. People said it's one of the best shows that we've had to date. And it was a pretty in-depth show. We stayed pretty mainstream when it comes to just talking about sports cards and the hobby. We didn't get into NFTs or stuff like that. So I hope we get him back on the show at some point. Cage and I will have two plays for you. We have Game 6, the Atlanta Hawks Sixers tonight. That's exciting. We have Game 6 Clippers Jazz tonight. We're going to see a record-breaking sale on the Babe Ruth card coming up, not the one with collectible, a different one that's being auctioned off. We can talk about that. But first, Cage called me this morning, and he was like, I was going through my investments, and, I realized if I did nothing, I would have had X amount of dollars. And he was just talking about like stocks. If I just kept my money in like a PayPal, I think he'd help. And when he comes back, at any point in time, he'll be able to talk about it. But I'm curious, do you guys have that story? He was like, if I just died, I think it was a direct quote, I would have so much money. Mine was my
direct quote. Direct quote.
I don't want to. Direct quote. Is it a mistake or what are we calling this?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really a mistake, right? I mean, there's a bunch of ways to look at it, but I mean, my thought was, a couple years ago, I got one of these emails from whatever Shutterfly, wherever it is I keep my pictures, and it's like your life in photos 4 years ago. It was like a picture of my kids, poolside. One was like dripping watermelon all over their face, and then I started like leafing through the photos from that week, and one of them was like, I took a picture of like my trades from that day in my Ameritrade account, and it was like. My account was like, I was one of these lunatics who just put the whole account in one thing and let it ride for earnings. Complete earnings play gambler. And I bought PayPal. And it actually went down that day. And I had a picture of it down like 6%, in the 5 minutes after market close. And I probably felt like an idiot that day. But what I did was I looked at how many shares of PayPal I had. And PayPal at the time was about $52. And I looked at it and I had like 3,200 shares of it in the account. And I'm like, all right, if I look at what PayPal is today, it was like $250 something. I multiplied it by like the 3,200 shares, and I'm like, all right, if I would have just died that day, like if I would have not woke up the next day and tried to get cute again, and looked at what's got earnings today. Oh, Lululemon, let me put all my account in that. Let me just gamble everything. If someone would have shot me in the head that day and my account would have remained the way that it was with just shares of PayPal, which is not it's not fancy. It's not crypto. It's not like NFTs. It's nothing fancy. It's like an old man stock. The account will be worth like $1 million. Do I have $1 million? No. So by living.
You're getting closer since you've met me though, right?
Maybe. You're worth $1 million. So all I got to do is keep hitching my wagon to you and I'll be fine. But the key here is alive and being cute and making plays. I've cost myself. I would have been better off just doing nothing. Does that make sense?
Well, it does because it's human nature, right? Like we were looking up the definition of an anthropologist, and they study human behavior past to present, and it's often our need for action that seems productive in the moment but hurts us long term. For me, that was Bitcoin. I probably had 20 to 30 Bitcoin at one time, and if someone shot me in the head, my mom would be really, really sad. But she would uncover a wallet with, I don't even know what, 20, 30 Bitcoin, $6-7 million. And I sold it. I mean, I needed the money. I was a 25-year-old kid. I needed the dough. And,
600, 700,000. But did you use it on pizza? That's the question. Did you use it to buy pizza like that one story I keep reading about how the guy used Bitcoin?
700,000, that's nothing. Just kidding. No, I didn't use it for pizza. I used most of it probably for gambling. So that's even more immature if we're going to go that route and be sharing things honestly and from the heart. And I like that I do that with you guys because, you know, a lot of people come on and they flex their wins, but I think it's also important to know I've lost a ton in my day. And I'm sure there'll be other losses in the future, but you know, the goal is to learn. The goal is to learn and maybe spot these trends actually, I think the goal is to know thyself if we're really going to go that direction.
To thine own self be true. Do you know what that's from?
No.
Just above all, to thine own self be true. You have homework tonight, and you too, Luca Nation. Look this up. I'm giving you all homework.
Let us know. Is there a card out there? Is there an investment out there? This was kind of a fun little thing. I think Luca Nation, I think we all have that. Is there a card, an asset, an investment you guys made that if you just held, it would have been done better than all of your other investments combined?
We all have it, but I want to let you run with this episode today. So this is going to be my play. I'm going to run this with my play. So this will be my play, and then I'll just shut up. Maybe I'll ask you some questions. Maybe we'll switch it up here because we're going into a weekend. The ice cream man's coming, so I'm going to basically duck out and go get the cones, for myself with some sprinkles on them and
cookies and cream
in the background.
Cookies and cream.
Yeah, I like cookies and cream. Breyer's cookies and cream, especially when it's on sale. Forget about it. I'll house that stuff. So, but here's the deal, right? My statement on this, because I do want to hear from Luca Nation what you have. I should have just held this card. I shouldn't have sold it. I have a billion of them. I told you guys about a ton of them. Buys that I should have done the other option. Cards that I should never sold. We all have it. But here's what I take from it, right? I'm going to call PayPal sort of almost like a blue chip, right? It's not going anywhere, right? And, maybe Bitcoin's going to take a bite out of its, user base and whatnot, right? But it's a blue chip. And what I thought to myself with this was, I got too cute, right? I got too cute for my own good and wound up costing myself money by being too cute. Now, how can I make that a teaching lesson for myself and for Luca Nation in the card sphere, right? And it's an easy one, right? Don't get too cute. You got LeBrons, you got Michael Jordans, you got Tom Brady. Ooh, the ice cream man. Who hears it?
We hear it. This is turning into a vlog.
Boom! That's the best right there. I would turn that into a fire rap song. That would be fantastic. My son is running after him to make him stop. Running. He's not stopping for you, pal.
Hey, will you take a Tyler Hero PSA 9 for all of your ice cream?
Well, will you take Tyler Hero PSA 9? Yes. I can't get sprinkles though. Yes, but no sprinkles. We can't. It was not enough to afford the sprinkles. No sprinkles.
But I think it's a great point. Don't get too cute and stick to when in doubt, stick to blue chips. Is that also left?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the key, right? Like often we're sitting here going, okay, that LeBron has gone 3x. I'll get to myself. I bought LeBron Topps Chrome for $1,000 and sold them for like $2,500, and I'm like, wow, I'm gonna take that $2,500 now, and I'm gonna buy a whole bunch of stuff with it. And I bought a whole bunch of garbage, literally garbage. Brandon Clark's and Cam Reddish and whoever the hell else, right? And yeah, it's easy, it's hindsight, right? We all were in on the modern base, and now everybody's getting crushed on modern base. But the truth is, don't get too cute. Stick with something that's tried and true. Yes, you may lose out on that tremendous growth if you happen to be like that lotto ticket is what you could have bought. But chances are instead with those more steady, blue chip type of plays, you will see steady growth over time with a wider view, right? You take that chart out long enough, and those blue chips are going to be up over time instead of trying to chase all the time, a bigger profit day over day. You actually gave me a hard time about something the other day where I was like, oh, you're going to turn 10,000 into 20,000. You're like, that's crazy. 10 into 20, it's like nuts. How do you say that? And that's the problem, right? Like, if you have $10,000 worth of LeBrons, the goal should be, okay, those might be 12 in a year. Those might be 15 in 2 or 3 years. Those might be 20 worth in 10 years. Who knows, right? It shouldn't be, let me take that 10 on LeBron and I'm going to spend that 10 and turn it into 20 in the next 3 months. And if not, I'm failing. Because you know what? By doing that, you're taking risks that you otherwise wouldn't take and you don't have to take, and you have much more potential downside on it. So
the movie The Big Short? Have you seen that movie?
Yep. It's awesome. Great movie.
So great movie. And the guy, Michael Burry is his name. He made a fortune betting against the U.S. Because he saw that there was these speculative assets, speculative bonds, mortgage-backed securities that were higher risk. And then there's this whole thing going on. I'm not going to go get into the details of it. But that guy who predicted the crisis just said that we're in the biggest speculation bubble of all time. Biggest speculation bubble of all time. That doesn't mean that blue chip, Amazon, Apple, all those companies are going to zero. But it means that there's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of people out there who want 10,000 to go to 20,000 in a day or 2 days. And that's really scary. And I think a lot of those people were also in the hobby. I think when you look at sports cards, base cards specifically, base and high pop and kind of more of the modern cards, that's what it was. It was speculation. It was, how can I buy this Tyler Hero Prism, send it in to get graded, and get 6x? Or how can I buy this Tyler Hero Prism PSA 10, wait 2 months because he's going to play in the playoffs, and sell it for 3x? And that's why we saw a bit of a correction. Some people call it a big correction. But here's my play, and I have a few plays today. But if you guys go and look at Chris House of Jordan's post 2 hours ago, he did an amazing job of this. He actually said that Babe Ruth cards yesterday were booming. There were more sales. He said yesterday's Babe Ruth boom might be an anomaly or coincidence. It could foreshadow an investor pivot in the hobby, a reaction to the most recent bubble bursting and market retraction of April, May, and June of 2021. What I see that is a move to blue chips, another move to flight to quality. And I don't think that the whole market is going to fall. I believe that we're going to start seeing money go into Babe Ruth, Joe Montana, Mickey Mantle, Johnny Unitas, Jerry Rice, Jackie Robinson, these kind of blue chip assets, these vintage cards that have stood the test of time, that seem or have the perception of artwork. I think we're going to see that the next 3, 4, 5 months. So that's my one play. It's not obviously buy a Babe Ruth card, and we could talk about that auction going on. I think we've already talked about it. So it's not necessarily even that. It could be some other, like it has, what do you call that effect? The anchor effect? No, not the anchor effect. The rubber band effect. When Babe Ruth cards, like even if it's not a Babe Ruth rookie, right? If it's not a Mickey Mantle rookie, but if the Mickey Mantle rookie hits record highs, his second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth year also kind of has that rubber band effect, right?
And the lower grades that sell too. Yeah, 100%.
I would be looking at that. I would be looking at those blue chip assets and adding those to your portfolio. So that's one of my plays for today, Cage. I know we're going to keep today short. You had a big meal. You want to go get ice cream. Give us your play, and then I came on this. I came on this episode. I said I'm going to give Luca Nation a nauseating play, and Cage is excited for us. I'm going to say that till the end.
Nauseating play, but heck, can I ask you something?
Sure.
Right? What the heck is going on?
Why is Ethereum going down?
What's going on with slab stocks? What's the deal there? What's the story? Because I don't know. I have paid attention today. Card porn gave them there was a shout out or something like that with our friend Slab Stocks. What's going on? What happened today? Are we allowed to talk about it? No? Am I putting you on the spot?
Sure, but you put me on the spot, but a lawyer doesn't ask questions that he doesn't know the answer to. I don't deal in hobby drama. That's not my vibe. You guys, my friends that know me, know I'm very temperamental. But the reason I'm temperamental and the reason I've learned that I surround myself with really specific people is I don't like negativity. People say I live in the clouds, all that stuff. Sure, I don't give a flying. I want to be happy, and negativity brings me down. So I stay out of negativity. I don't want to hear it. I want to live my life. I want to be happy. I want to be positive. So I love card porn. I love card porn's post, but I know quickly that if it's a positive or a negative card porn post, and if it's negative, I'm just like, next one. Which girls are on Instagram today? Just kidding.
But you're not. All right. Well, listen, I just wanted to see you squirm for a minute. I knew you wouldn't answer that, but it's a lot of fun.
I did answer. I answered it in my way. Oh, okay. I'll go one deeper. That Jordan sale, the 180K Jordan sale, yep. I've been in the hobby for a year and a half, and I consider myself a rookie. It's to me so obvious that was a fake, not a fake sale. That was a sale that went bad. There were issues with the bids because the last sales of that card were 285, 290. I personally knew people who offered cash for that card at 225. There's people who would have bid that card up to 225, 230, 245. So to me, it was obvious, that's just a sale that got messed up. It was an auction that got messed up. And that's it. Do you want to take this in any other direction, Cage?
I mean, that's a good one. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's going on hobby relevant. Can I get your opinion on Game 7 Nets Bucks?
I'll never question someone who wants to make money and feed their family. I might not agree with how they go about it, but dude, I don't play God, so I'll leave it at that.
So that's
Bucks,
your answer. Then
Nets.
Bucks Nets. Who's feeding their family? Like, is that Kevin Durant feeding their family? Is like.
Well, I think the last slide was Slabstock's promoting PWCC, and he has every right to.
Right. But how about Kevin Durant and Giannis? What's going on there?
Dude, it's funny, man. I've had a lot of good predictions in the NBA this postseason. This one I wrote off, and somehow I could be right.
Well, this is one of your better
gonna,
predictions. Because in the beginning you said it was the Bucks. Then after 2 games you were like, it's gonna be the Nets. Then you were like, do I get credit for this if the Bucks come back? So this is one of the perfect predictions of all time. When Game 7 ends, you could basically take credit no matter what happens.
So true. So true. So true. I wrote the Bucks off after 2-0. I was with everybody else. I didn't believe. I lost faith. I apologize. I have the Bucks. I'm gonna stick with them.
Can I take this a different way? Is it now fair to say, if the Nets lose, is it now fair to say that actually diminishes LeBron's championship in Cleveland a little bit? Do we not give Kyrie enough credit? Because after 2 games, the Nets team looked like a juggernaut. And Game 3 was close, and, it was one of those giveaway games. But then Kyrie goes down, and Game 4 just falls apart. Game 5, all right, Durant literally had to put on a Superman cape and have like one of those all-time playoff performances to eke one out. Do we give Kyrie a little more credit? Do we acknowledge that he's an important piece of a championship team?
Kyrie did it to himself. Like, he's not a very likable guy, and I think he kind of preferred that. So there's that. But as a player, he's amazing. The issue with Kyrie was twofold. He wasn't likable. He said all this weird stuff, and then he was also injured a lot. So if you remember with the Celtics, we didn't get a chance to see him play that much. When we got a chance to play and see him kind of run a free-flowing offense, we're like, wow, this guy is insane. I don't know if Kyrie deserves any more or less credit. I think Steve Nash doesn't get any credit, and I think he's single-handedly kept this team together. Think about everything going on with the Nets this season, all the injuries, don't forget they had Jared Allen. They did a midseason trade. They got James Harden. Kyrie's been injured. Durant's been injured. Harden's been injured. And he's kept that team together. They're 1 game away from the Eastern Conference Finals. I think Steve Nash deserves a ton more credit than he gets.
So another question then. Will there come a time in the next year or two that the Oklahoma Thunder cannot field the team because their entire roster is just going to be future first-round picks?
We just did a Scouts episode with Conrad. He was the most excited I've ever seen him come onto an episode. I thought Scouts was going to be fun during the NBA playoffs. The off season is going to be even more fun because he loves watching them move. And Sam Presti is like his all-time hero, like literally his all-time hero. Cage, I think this is a big move for SGA. I think you're going to see Kemba play the first quarter or half of the season. Conrad thinks he might be moved in the offseason. But I'm excited. I think they're building a young team. I think they're going to be very good. And I'll give them 4 years.
It was a money dump, although not as big as people think, because Horford still has 2 years at a lot of money. They gave Horford back, so it's not as big of a dump to get the first round that Oklahoma City did. I'd rate that Oklahoma City won that trade, but I get it. The Celtics are looking to offload some money. Makes Michael Jordan look smart by not giving Kemba that max offer with the Hornets, though, I guess. And then another big question for you, because I want to get to your play, but a big question for you. F1 this weekend, in France. How are we going to do there? I mean, who do you think's going to win that race?
So I would say athletes love sports. I'd say some of the other people love F1. I'll go that route. No, I'm just kidding. It was a shot at someone really specific. I take that back. I don't want to hurt any F1 feelings. Ask me about the Mavs. I think the Mavs are gearing up for. Think about this. If you're a Mavs fan, you have the 2 best positions open in the entire NBA. You have the GM position and the coaching position. And now they get you could attract the best talent. Who doesn't want those 2 jobs? To go and coach and build a team alongside Luka? And here's my play. Here, I told you it's nauseating. I don't even know if it's realistic. But I think Ben Simmons is going to get moved somewhere in the offseason. I'd be interested to see if Conrad doesn't think this will happen. I'm just going to put that out there. But he says no one wants that Ben Simmons contract. He's the most overvalued player in the NBA, something like that. But I could see Ben Simmons getting moved somewhere in the offseason. And I could see Ben Simmons going to the Mavs. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe that will never work. I don't know why that matters, why I think that. But his cards have gotten pummeled, Cage. So I gave you guys one play, the vintage play.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so, yes. But do you think that they should be $125 when there's only 1,000 of them out there?
No, and what are you talking about? Which card? His base prism?
The base prism. It was a $450 card 6 months ago.
I don't love Simmons, but that's a card that gets lumped into the modern multiple thousand, 5-figure population of the more modern stuff, and it's not. There's not as many. It's more akin to the 2012 and 2013 prism cards. So yeah, I love the play. I just don't love the player.
No, I don't like this. You guys know I've been the most critical Sixers fan from day one. Today I posted a clip from like 4 weeks ago where it was basically me talking about the Sixers and how vulnerable they are. Everyone knows how critical I've been on the Sixers. Ben Simmons cannot shoot. But this is not necessarily a play that I believe in Ben Simmons. To me, this is a play in a guy who's so young. Sometimes we forget, Cage, he's 24 years old. 24 years old. He's an athletic freak, and he might just need a change of scenery. And you're able to buy, and I'm not even saying buy today. I'm saying that card was $450 6 months ago. It's selling for $150 now. I wouldn't be surprised if you could get that card for $80, $75 from someone who's just like, I'm done with this guy. And it's an interesting buy the dip type of opportunity where you're getting someone who's young, has a lot of potential. He's just fallen out of like favor, cardboard relevancy.
Yep.
I think you're getting it for pennies on the dollar, and that's why I said it's nauseating. It hurts me to bring the play, but I think it's at least worth looking at.
So can I throw something out there on the EX? I love the play. I know I'm supposed to challenge you on these things. I love the play just not because I like Ben Simmons and not because he may move teams, because you this very week told me we shouldn't be making plays based on on hope and prayers. That you're not a gambler, and I my take on try to buy some players because they might go somewhere else in the offseason is you don't like making those plays. But I get it. It's beaten down so much that it's almost one of those like such a low risk with a potential high reward that I do like the play, even though there's some negatives. Can I take it a different way? You're going to hear a lot of people talking about buying someone over the next couple of days, because if he has one more win, he's going to be favored to win a championship. And I'm talking about Giannis. Giannis wins Game 7. He's going to be favored to win a championship. And you're going to hear every pundit in the world, everyone who does what we do or tries to do what we do the way we do it, even the people who charge you money for this shit, are all going to be talking about Giannis. They're going to be talking about Giannis. Giannis has been beaten up by Giannis, by Giannis. And I really started to think about this one last night as, is Giannis a play? Is Giannis somebody we should be buying? Because he may win a damn championship. I was watching the game. I was on Twitter last night, and I saw the most ardent Giannis fans. Okay, the Bucks fans, the people who are Bucks fans, and they said I saw it posted a couple times. The best stat I see out of Giannis so far is that this deep in the game, he's 0 for 0 from 3. Right? Yes, don't take threes. Now you can interpret that to mean that means he's being aggressive and he's driving, and that's fine. I get that, but okay, that's one. Guy can't shoot from the outside. He's got no outside jumper. He just doesn't. He's one trick pony. And number two, as the game came down to it, and it looked like the Nets might make a run, you started to see on Twitter people saying, "Get Giannis out of the game," right? And they have in other games taken him out in the end of the game when it was close. Defensive Player of the Year, taken out of the game down the stretch because he can't hit free throws, right? So, sure, the numbers will tell you, if he wins this game, might have a shot at a championship, which is huge. For card value, it's huge. It's great. But do you really want to be investing in a guy whose team has to take him out the crunch time of a game? Do you really want to be investing in a guy whose own most, ardent fans don't want him shooting the ball? I mean, it's just one of those things I was thinking about. And while you can't really argue the fact that if he wins a championship, the cards are going to come back a little bit. They are, right? But I guess what I'm preaching to you is be a little restrained on it. Don't go all in on Giannis, because there are some warts in Giannis's game. And they've been really, more so than in any year past, they've been really exposed during this postseason. What do you think?
Well, I love your shot at taking a shot at people who pay for plays because most of this stuff is nuanced. So you said earlier in the week, I said, I'm not a gambler. I don't wait for things to happen. That's my investing strategy. So before you can make a play, you have to have a strategy, right? Like chess isn't necessarily about moving the pieces. Anybody could move the pieces. What's your strategy? Do you know debut? Do you know mid game? Do you know end game? So it's strategy before a move. So with Giannis, I agree with you from a long-term perspective, but there's also guys who've made tons of money buying oversold players. So there's also that angle of Giannis is oversold. You look at his Prism card cage. I just looked up auctions as you were talking. You're not going to believe. There's an auction that ended just the other day. It was timed poorly and ended two of them at the same time, but it was $1,200. Another one ended at $1,136. Now, these were PWCC auctions. In case there was four of them at once, it was a flash auction. So that's part of the reason why they ended so cheap. But $1,200 for a PSA 10. Cage, he was $7,000 in August. And his games, if you really think about it, they were putrid in August, watching them get smoked by the Heat. They're one game away from the conference finals, and they took this Nets team, say what you want about injuries or whatever, no one's going to remember that, to 7 games with a chance to win it, and I think they're going to win Game 7. So you're buying a guy who
100%, 100%. I guess what I'm saying is that you have to temper don't buy it expecting it to triple, which otherwise it might. You know what I mean? Don't and Andrew, I'll also tell you this: you can pull. I mean, you could throw a fucking dart at a dartboard and you'll have the same numbers. Everyone's been oversold, and when everyone's oversold, that's a correction. That's not oversold.
Not as
market's
much.
Oversold.
But here's why. If you look at Ben Simmons, his cards were peaked at 450. Now they're a third. But you have MVP caliber talent in Giannis, who is 7,000, and now he's 1,000.
Right. But I guess what I would say to you is many more people were grading Giannis than graded Ben Simmons. Also, the Giannis pop, when you combine the BGS, because back then BGS people were graded, a lot of BGS Giannis stuff out there too. Giannis has been like the card to grade for the longest time, right? It's him and Luka are like, the pop guys. And obviously the pop it's not anywhere near what Luka or Zion or the more modern stuff is. But, I would throw that in there. But yeah, point taken. Instead of a third, you're talking about a card that's, a fifth or a sixth of what it was. And I get it. I guess all I'm saying is I would not be so like, I'm going all in on Giannis because there are holes in his game that, I mean, you go back a couple of months ago, I wouldn't have even believed that we would have been talking about this, that he's going to have the yip so bad that he literally cannot hit 2 free throws in a row. When he goes there with the game on, he cannot make both free throws. And, his game, it's aggressive, but it's like aggressive to a fault now. It's like, it's when he drives, you just assume there's going to be an offensive foul unless he gets lucky and they don't call on him. I mean, it's just weird to watch. Like, here's a guy who, like, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, like you were expecting all these great things, and it still may happen. And this may be the year with this abysmal playoff performance where he actually gets over the hump and wins the championship. But I think if you asked him, so far these are the worst playoffs he's had. It's funny how that works, right?
In investing, like sometimes you have to bet on the jockey, not the horse. It's hard to question that Giannis has also improved year over year. Like, I hear you, but why I was nauseated by the Ben Simmons play is his shot has gotten worse. His free throws have gotten worse. His scoring has gotten worse. Say what you want. Yes, Giannis can't shoot at threes very well, but he shoots them better than he used to. Yeah, his mid-range game is weak, but it's better than he used to. His offensive game is weak, but it's better than it used to. And he's unstoppable in transition, Cage. If he gets you down low and he's running at you, he's unstoppable in transition.
I don't know. I mean, what's funny? All I need to know about him is and people's confidence in him and how people are just going to buy him for a quick flip, and that's usually dangerous, is people are not buying him yet. Because people are still not sold on him. You know what I mean? People are going to wait to hope that he beats or his team beats a wounded Nets team. And people haven't jumped on us, just like you said, the most recent auctions are still there even lower than they were. So, even taking the team where he is, people have not bought in yet. So we'll see. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. He wins this game 7, and I think he becomes a favorite to go to the finals, and maybe even a favorite, especially with Chris Paul and COVID and coming back from it, and what we see out with Kawhi out and the whole deal. Maybe a favorite to win a championship. So short term, sure. I think there's definitely some value to buying him if he gets past the Nets. I'm surprised by how he has played. I just wanted to throw that one out there. Has he improved? Sure, but it's the same thing that like held Shaq back. Shaq was amazing, but his team had to take him out because it was a hack-a-Shaq. It's the same stuff, and sometimes that's
he's not nearly as dominant as Shaq was.
No, but it's the same thing. The fouls, he couldn't hit. He hit 50% of his free throws. It's the same kind of thing. And Luka was having issues with free throws in the playoffs this year too. You want to pair him up with you want to pair him up with who? With Ben Simmons, and why don't we bring Giannis there too, and take Shaq out of retirement and make it like the free throw shooting squad? Like why the hell not?
That's
but
hilarious.
Anyway, yeah, man. Listen, I like the Ben Simmons play, and I think we could probably come up with quite a few players that fall into that same boat. But if you're asking me, and I'm not buying, I own one of these. If you're asking me, and we're talking about cards that were beat down. And maybe this proves your point, right? Because the Simmons is 1/3 of the value that it was, and this card is only maybe it's 50% of what it was at its peak, right? I would rather, instead of buying, because me, I'm a bulk buyer. Instead of putting a ton of money into Ben Simmons and Giannis and that stuff, I'd go grab a Luka Silver 10. That's a card that's been beat down. That's what I do. The pop on that is not nuts. It's not insane. And that, just to take it back like a Seinfeld episode to the end, right? That's me sticking with my PayPal stock, instead of selling it and looking for Ben Simmons to move to a different team, or looking for Devontae Graham to play, or whatever it may be, and that's kind of, if I'm able to give advice, and it doesn't have to be Luka, Giannis could potentially be considered in the same thing. I mean, the guy's already got more trophy, more hardware than most players will ever have in their career.
I think I'll explain why you said Luka, not Giannis on that. Luka to you seems like a Batman. Giannis seems like a Robin because he can't be there at the end of the game. 100%. Where Luka has proven time and time again he wants the ball in his hands the last seconds, the last minutes of the game, and that's where he shines. I think from your experience in the hobby,
huge difference. Yeah, and that guy, the Jordan, the LeBron, the Danny Green. The guy who wants the ball at the end of the game to make I'm just kidding, LeBron fans, I'm sorry. But the alpha, right? The alpha is the one that you invest in that has that upside. That's the blue chip, right? And, if you watch the Bucks enough, you'll realize that the guy they want with the ball in his hands in the last seconds is Chris Middleton. It's not Giannis.
Two things on that. I have I don't think the Sixers are going to be able to pull it out tonight. I think it's going to be. I think it's a blowout by the Hawks, but who knows?
Do people start buying? Trae Young cards? I mean, there really hasn't been much of a spike on his stuff.
Weird market right now, isn't it? And I'm not suggesting, just to clarify, I'm not suggesting buying the Ben Simmons Prism at the current 150. I think we see that cut in half the way the market's going, and you're able to get that for $70, $80 in the offseason.
Now, at that, I'm a buyer. I'm a buyer at $70, $80 because, pretty soon you won't even be able to get a PSA card graded for that price, even when they open up.
Kaboom. So there's this thing called case hits, and there's this thing called inserts. Like the stained glass, the one card we were talking about with Tom Brady. That's a case hit, right? Can you explain? Because you made that face, but I didn't know how to answer it. One of our followers asked us this question.
One of my neighbors. I was saying hi to one of my neighbors. Nice. Lenny, that was my face. I was just
that's how you make you say hi?
Like, hey, well, I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to, shout it out, but now we have to. You think I'm making
What's the difference between a case hit and an insert?
So inserts are any non-base card. There are subsets and there are insert sets. Insert sets usually are ones that are its own set of cards that's not part of the base, right? So, go back to my friends, Ultra Scoring Kings with the Lightning, Michael Jordan, or Power in the Key on Ultra. Those are insert sets. They're a numbered set, right? Case hits are often inserts also, right? But they're inserted one per case on average. Hence, they're called a case hit. Like a master hit, a master case hit, you name it. The color blasts, which I didn't even know when I opened UFC Prism. Someone had to say that's a case hit. To determine a case hit, like if it's 8 boxes in a case and 10 packs per box, there's 80 packs in a case. If you look at the pack odds, if the thing says those cards are found 1 in 80 packs, that's a case hit. It means per case, on average, you're only going to get one of those. Usually, most inserts are found a couple of them per box. You know what I mean? A case hit is an insert that's found 1 per case. And the difference, of course, is parallels, right? So parallels they are also inserted at random numbers, but parallels are versions of the base cards. Sometimes numbered, sometimes not, right? So that's gold cards in tops, gold cards. They are rainbow foil, refractors. In Prism, it's silver, hyper, green, pink, the non-numbered. Then it's also blue and red and blue ice and purple ice that are numbered. Those are all parallels. And yes, you are correct to add a little wrinkle onto that. Inserts do have parallels. So while there are kabooms, there are gold kabooms as well, right? So those are usually numbered to 10.
Yeah, so Kaboom in 2013, that was a case hit, right?
I believe so. I don't know because Kaboom have been in different products.
Right. And then it became an insert because then they started putting more and more in the products because they saw the popularity of 2013.
Yeah, I believe, and I would have to look at the numbers on these. I don't study Kaboom because I think they are they're more full of hot air than donuts are. Krispy Kreme donuts when they're first. Yeah, they're pretty. They're nice. I like them also. But you know what? You know what's also pretty? Stained glass cards, and I don't hear many people hyping them up. I mean, Shea Wave Vlogs puts them on his post. Yeah, but okay, yeah, fine. But the point is, they're just as nice, I think. And you don't hear a million people, kabooms, let's go, kabooms, it's kaboom, everybody buy kabooms. And yeah, I mean, just like the Prism population and the production count is up, even if they were case hits back then and case hits now, there's dozens times more cases printed now than there were then anyway. So even if they were case hits then and case hits now, kabooms are way more available now than they were then. And I can't just say kabooms are case hits, you name it, because some kabooms, like the soccer ones, you name it, they came in like specific packs that were given out at like the National. Like Panini did specific, like kaboom packs where you can only get the kaboom cards out of those packs. So, that's just one of those annoying topics to me that makes me not get along with a lot of other people that do what we do because they want me to pump up kabooms alongside of them, but I don't.
Cage and his triggers. You're hilarious. Anything you want to add? You gave me the room today, and I'm appreciative. I'm grateful. I hope you guys value this episode. Anything before we wrap, my friend?
Let me say this. There are a lot of good people in the hobby, right? There are a lot of good people in the hobby. There are less people in the hobby than there were 1 month ago, than there were 2 months ago, than there were 4 months ago. And I imagine that if the trajectory of pricing and squeezing of retail and, a couple of other things, grading, continues the way that it is now, I believe we're going to see even less people in the hobby. And guys, we talk about our hobby as a community, and us here at Luca Nation, that is numero uno with us, right? We love building the community. We love our Luca Nation, members, brothers, sisters, you name it. We talk about this. I just want to drop at the end of this. It's going to be even more important to be a good member of the hobby community now than ever before, because it's getting even smaller. We always say the hobby is a small community, you name it. It's getting even smaller. Everybody's going to be scrutinizing your deals. Everybody's going to be scrutinizing your stuff. Watch each other's backs. You know what I mean? Be good to each other. If you can help somebody out, help somebody out. If you can make a trade with somebody who's looking for a PC card to keep them happy, and ultimately I think you're going to get something good out of that too. And if there's somebody out there that needs help, send them to us. Send them to somebody else who's out there, right? Maybe we can help them find a card for a trade. Maybe we can help them find a card that they've been looking for. Keep them in the hobby, keep them happy, especially while times are bad. This is where I get sappy and say we really are all in this together. You don't hear this from me too often because Captain Goldberg over there, he's the king of positivity. But maybe some of it's rubbing off on me. Maybe I enjoyed myself at Bleecker trading and saw that, that was not an event that was all about like buying cards and getting money out of people. It was just a bunch of folks happy to get out from behind their masks after a year and a half, display some cards, make some trades, and have some fun and get back to what we all enjoy about this stuff. And, I'm going to try doing a little bit more of that myself. Going back to the roots of my collection, what I love, what I enjoy, talking about the stuff that that I love and that I enjoy, and trying to help people out. So I'll just throw this one out there to you guys. Anybody needs anything? Anybody needs a card? Everybody's building a set. Everybody's having fun in this hobby. You name it. Can't find wax. Wants something to open with their son. I got a basement full of crap. Hit me up. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can help you guys out.
So Collectible does this great post series of like Meet the Team. And today they did one for Alex Guillermo, I think is her name. And she posted something. I like this. So she said, there's a question number 3, what's next for the hobby? And she said, content will explode in a similar fashion to the way sports betting did. Women will be talking about it all over social platforms, and it won't be weird to hear or see a chick talking cards. I've been a believer of that. I don't know how people out there feel about it, but I saw the rise of sports betting, and just like 10 years ago, no one was talking about it, and definitely not females. And now you literally have women content creators that I think know sports better than a lot of men, and they have really, really solid Twitter followings and Instagram followings, and they talk sports betting. And that would have been crazy 10 years ago. So I think the hobby community is going to just grow. We haven't even tapped in to the women community. Like, I think 90% of our following is men. It's not because I don't think we appeal to women. Maybe we don't. But I think it's because
you definitely do, my friend. Me, not so much.
I think it's because we need more content creators to bring new people to the hobby, and I think we're going to start seeing an influx of more women in the hobby.
Well, listen, if Alex says it, I believe it. She's been doing this for a while. She's a Jets reporter, and she's covered rugby and a whole bunch of other stuff. So you take a look. There's a video of her covering a rugby game. She was trying to catch a rugby ball, and it basically just dislocated her whole thumb. And she just took it in stride. She's like, "Hey, look, my thumb's broken." It wasn't like it was. Yeah, it's pretty bad, pretty badass actually. Take a look at it. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you, man. I think there's room for for all walks of life in what we do. So
there's a big asterisk. So I'm not all positivity. And I'll wrap with this.
All right,
there's a big responsibility to content creators, because there's 2 types of content creators. There's content creators that are inclusive, and there's content creators that are exclusive. And I think it's really important to be inclusive and realize we're all trying to make the pie grow together versus it's like us versus them. And I hope that we do that. I really do.
I agree entirely. Is that like, we all getting along now? Is this like, kumbaya? You gonna sing? We're gonna have a campfire?
It's funny. Like, I think if you asked all my best buddies and my family to a T, like 3 qualities to describe Andrew, he's the most, I think confrontational would be number 1.
Nice. And yet with this, I want to confront everybody. Guys, you should know a little behind the scenes. I literally come on this and I'm like, let's go after these people right now. This person just pissed me off. This person just upset me. Let's do it. And he's like, whoa, big fella. Let's just do what we do. And the rest is nonsense. I'm like, all right, we'll do what we do. One day he won't sign on. And then everybody's going to get it.
Don't take advice or get offended from someone who you want to switch lives with. Love you, Luca Nation.